Hello, I am Leo Ramsky. I am 14. I'm at a local synagogue at Oak Park. I am interviewing you because you're the only person that I could think of that I wouldn't have to interview without being on the phone. And I think you have the most experience of anyone I know with volunteer wise. And yeah. So let me start off with asking what your name is and where are you from?
So my name is Abby Taylor Apt, and I'm from London in the United Kingdom.
What type of community service have you participated in?
I have been fortunate to have experienced a number of different forms of community service. My favourite one, if we can use that terminology, is actually a program that I participated in whilst I lived in Boise, Idaho, which was called the Friendship Feast, where all four different religious denominations took it in turns each week to purchase and serve food to the homeless population of the city. And it was hosted, and we used to go with the religious school, and we would actually serve these people at tables and chairs, and there would be whole families that came in, and it was a very, very powerful experience because it wasn't just an endeavour for our children, it was actually an endeavour for all of the different faiths working together in turn to make sure that these families and these people that were in a more unfortunate situation had what they needed. And it was a fantastic lesson in respect and in nurturing, and for me to be able to show our kids that all of the different religious denominations actually have many of the same beliefs about how we can look after other people.
What role do you think volunteer work plays in building a community?
So I think a community is made up of lots of different types of people. And we ourselves tend to get very tied up either in our own work or our own social group, our friends or sports or whatever we're doing. And by including volunteering, what it does is it takes us out of our own bubble and it enables us to see a larger picture. I think it helps us to appreciate and feel gratitude for what we have and to acknowledge that there but for the grace of God go I. I mean, basically, we are no better than anybody else. And today it's this person in need, tomorrow it could be somebody else. Please God, we're not in that situation, but I believe that we're all intertwined. And by doing volunteer work, what it does is it stops it being them and us. It teaches us that we're all people, we're all the same, we all have a story, and people can be in a bad situation that's not necessarily because of a choice that they've made.
How did you find your way to this organization or to this organization?
So the organisation, the one that did Friendship Feast, although that was volunteer work, I came to it through my role, which was Community Programs Director, where I was working with the community, with different families and in outreach. What I do, and currently I'm Director of Education for the temple, but what I've always done is basically try and build community, and the way we do that is by creating connections with each other. And I was really fortunate this was a program that had already existed, and I was able to just become part of it with my school and with the families.
Can you tell me about the specifics of what you do during this volunteer work?
So for this particular volunteer work, it would involve, it was actually held at a local church, and what we would do is it would start off weeks before because we would do it was once a month with different classes. It would be our turn to go and do this with the children, and we would make sure that the kids actually understood what it was that we were doing and what they were going to see, and if there were families there with younger children as well, that they would understand not to comment, especially if they saw somebody that they knew. So there would be sort of education within the classroom. That would be the first thing, and the parents would also be involved with this to understand that it was part of a larger program that we used to do, and that I believe it's still being done now I'm here. And then we would be responsible for getting the food. The kids would come, we would set the tables, we would make sure everything was ready in the hallway, and then we would open the doors, and basically we would serve. We would literally serve these people. We would give them food, whatever it was that they needed. We would serve them, we would go to their tables, we would refill their water, we would make sure that they had everything that they needed and that they were able to keep their dignity. And then, of course, clean up afterwards.
What drew you to this volunteer work?
The same thing that draws me to everything that I do, the belief that we cannot be just an individual. It actually teaches us within our own Jewish teachings. There's a phrase that says, don't take yourself out of the community, which in Hebrew in the Bible it says, al tifrosh min hatzibur. You're not allowed to take yourself out of the whole. So we can't say it's not us, it's not relevant to us, because we are one big community. And I just think the more that people understand how interconnected we are, the better it's going to be. And the only way you can do that is by getting out there and by having relationships with people that are not in the same situation as yourself, and build bridges and, you know, teach. And
can you share with me what makes this community service worthwhile for you?
so I've long believed that even though I'm a teacher of faith, that in terms of educating our children and our families and being part of the community, I honestly believe that everybody needs to belong. We're all looking to belong. So you could belong to the temple, you could belong to a country club, you could belong to the YMCA or a gym. People look to belong, okay, because by nature we are a community. We are not individuals, we are pack. That's what humans are. We look for our tribe. And I just feel that we have a responsibility to include everybody within that. Everybody needs to feel their worth. Everybody needs to feel that they are valued.
Well, thank you for being here with me. I know you're very busy, and just thank you for everything you do for the community.
Well, thank you very much for asking me.